Hello, everybody. This is Mayor Cornell Harvey. I'd like to welcome you to our city council meeting virtually. I'd like to open the meeting, as said, Wednesday, May the 20th, 2020, a virtual teleconference via Zoom, excuse me. I'd like to call to order. And if Commissioner Martin is on, I'll ask her to do the invocation. Mayor Pro Tem Martin, are you on? She's not. Well, Commissioner Vincent Williams, will you do the invocation for us, please?
Not a problem.
Please.
Bow. Eternal God, our Father, we come now. We say thank you for this day. God, we thank you for this opportunity to gather together and to do the city of Brunswick's business. We ask now that you give us wisdom, that you give us grace, that you give us understanding, God, that we might be able to make sound decisions that will help the city to grow and help it to mature and go further. We just thank you for our mayor and all of our commissioners and all of our staff that has helped us to make the city of Brunswick even better than it has been in the past. We say thank you for that. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Are there any additional or deletions to our agenda?
Mayor, I have one under the city attorney's items, number 6.
Okay.
I recently met with the new city manager and assistant city manager and Mr. Williams and discussed some revisions that needed to be done to that agreement. So I would just ask that agreement, if it's the will of the commission, be deferred until the first meeting in June.
Okay. Can I get a motion, commissioners?
That's item number 5. That's item 5, not 6.
I apologize.
It's item 6 on mine.
Item 6, enclosure 5.
You said the appointments?
No, the recreational license
agreement. On the city attorney item.
Oh, okay.
Number 6.
Yeah, that's number 6.
Motion to defer number 6 on the city attorney's items. Consider approval of recreational license agreement between the city of Brunswick and Coastal Outreach Soccer.
Yes,
Okay.
that's the one.
Motion second to defer item number 6 to our first meeting in June. Are there any further discussion?
Yeah, let me clarify. That's item 5 on my agenda.
Okay, well, he read it off. Consider approval of recreational license between the city of Brunswick.
I'm fine with it. Just want you to know my agenda shows as item 5. But
Okay.
I'm
right.
good to go.
Okay. Any further discussion? Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Kaysen, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris, how do you vote?
Yes.
Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
I don't believe Mayor Pro Tem Martin has made it yet. Mayor Harvey, how do you vote?
Yes. Okay, that motion carries 4-0. Thank you. So that will be deferred to our next meeting. As we look at our agenda, our first item on the agenda is recognition, presentation, and awards. It says a proclamation presentation to Mr. Will Worley, Chairman of Brunswick Historic Preservation Board, recognizing the month of May 2020 as National Historic Preservation Month. I just got notified that Mr. Worley is not on, that something came up. However, as being any member of the Brunswick Historic Preservation Board, this is to you all. I thought about deferring it to the next meeting, but it's really for the month of May. So I wouldn't want to say something in June and it was for May. So I'm going to read the proclamation. And it reads thus: the Mayor and City Council of Brunswick, Georgia, do hereby issue this proclamation. Whereas historic preservation is an effective tool for managing growth and sustainable development, revitalizing neighborhoods, fostering local pride, and maintaining community character while enhancing livability. And whereas historic preservation is relevant for communities across the nation, both urban and rural, and for Americans of all ages, all walks of life, and all ethnic backgrounds. And whereas it is important to celebrate the role of history in our lives and the contribution made by many dedicated individuals in helping preserve the tangible aspects of the heritage that has shaped us as a people. And whereas the National Park Service has recognized the importance of the city of Brunswick by declaring Old Town, Windsor Park, and Dixville National Register Historic Districts. Now, therefore, be it resolved, I, Cornell L. Harvey, as mayor, along with my fellow commissioners, Commissioner Vincent Williams, Commissioner Felicia Harris, Mayor Pro Tem Julie Martin, and Commissioner Johnny Cason, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2020 as National Historic Preservation Month in Brunswick, and call upon all the people of the city of Brunswick to join their fellow citizens across the United States in recognizing this special observance. And it's signed by me, Cornell Harvey, and attested by Naomi Atkins, our city clerk. This is to Mr. Will Worley and also the Historic Preservation Board. I apologize that they aren't here. I have another presentation I'd like to read, and it goes out to the family of Mr. Ahmaud Arbery. It's with deep sympathy I read this because we realize that most time when you read a resolution, most time that means the individual is not here, and this young man lost his life, and we all know the turn of events that have happened in our community. This reads, the Mayor and City Council of Brunswick, Georgia, do hereby issue this resolution honoring the life and legacy of Ahmaud Arbery, May 8, 1994 through February 23rd, 2020. Whereas Ahmaud Quez Arbery was born on May 8, 1994 to Wanda Cooper Jones and Marcus Arbery Sr. And whereas as 11th son, brother, uncle, nephew, cousin, and friend, Ahmaud Arbery will be remembered as humble, funny, someone who never forgot to express his love, leaving a strong legacy with the many lives he touched during his tenure here on earth. And whereas he loved sports, had once dreamed of being a football player, dreamed of a football career, an impressive athlete. He played linebacker for the Brunswick High School Pirates, wearing number 21, which was passed down from his older brother to him. And whereas in honoring his life, we preserve his legacy and keep his memory alive. His ability to encourage and enrich the lives of others and his strong sense of humanity and compassion will never, ever be forgotten. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Cornell L. Harvey, the mayor of the city of Brunswick, along with my fellow commissioners, Commissioner Felicia Harris, Commissioner Vincent Williams, Commissioner Johnny Cason, Mayor Pro Tem Julie Martin, do hereby declare this day, May 20th, 2020, to be Ahmaud Arbery Day in the city of Brunswick, Georgia. Be it further resolved, speaking on behalf of the entire community, we hereby extend to the members of the Ahmaud Arbery family this expression of sincere regret for your loss, and hope that the family will be consoled by the memories of his life and of his lifelong achievements. And may God forever bless you, the family, and receive Ahmaud in his loving care. The witness thereof was signed by me, Cornell Harvey, the mayor, attested by Naomi Atkins, our city clerk. This is hard for us to issue this resolution. However, we know we can't go back and change the hands of time. All we can do is face the future as it comes towards us. So that's what we would do. We face the future, but we never will forget this young man who gave his life, who lost his life. So, anybody want to say something before I move on?
That was very well said and very appropriate. And we will remember this for a long, long time. And certainly our hearts go out to the family, not just the city commission, but the entire community here for the loss that we and the loss that the family have. And any way that we can help, we're here to do that. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to say that, you know, on behalf of course, the entire city commission, which you eloquently said, not just the city commission, but the entire community in the city of Brunswick, that we're certainly standing with the Arbery family, and we're certainly praying for their healing and their continued healing for this situation. I mean, it's devastating, and I can't even imagine, as a father or as, you know, as a parent, you know, the state of mind that I would probably be in had it been my son or my daughter, you know, in a situation such as that. So we continue to pray for them, and not just them, but we pray for the McMichaels as well. This situation, you know, as we all know, is something that, you know, is an underlying thing that we have to deal with, but we somehow we don't want to deal with it until something happens of this nature. You know, in this country and in this area, and especially in the South where we live, there is a hidden agenda sometimes, not with everybody, but with, you know, with some people, there's a hidden agenda. So we just have to be prayerful, and we just have to, you know, be mindful of these things, and we have to make sure that we teach our children, you know, be they black, white, green, blue, or whatever, that, you know, people have some strange ways and some strange things that they'll do, and they'll even do to you if given the opportunity. So let's just be cautious and let's be prayerful.
Thank you, sir.
Well, I would just like to say that even during this heartbreaking situation, I'm proud of our community, and I'm proud of our citizenry standing arm in arm and not letting the actions of a few dictate what Brunswick means to all of us. And our hearts definitely go out to the Arbery family and relatives. And there are some things that are broken and need to be fixed. And we as a community need to grab hold of that mantle and move it forward. But I feel as though the community is behind the Arbery family. It's very unfortunate that this happened. But I think we all want to lock arms together. We want to move forward. We want this community to heal.
Yes.
And to be a better community.
Thank you.
I just want to also extend kudos to our community for the way that they've come together and they've banded together. All of you all have expressed sentiments that I think exemplify our community, even with those that are outside of our community, not having the opportunity to personally experience the city of Brunswick. None of us are without any faults, but it's the coming together and the working together when things of this magnitude, when we're faced with things of this magnitude. I saw a lot of people step up into leadership roles, and I'd like to express gratitude to those people who have stepped up into leadership roles, those who have expressed how they feel about the situation or the circumstances that happened. My desire is that we continue beyond this, and we have something that's immediate for us right now, but my desire is to see us beyond this. It's what we do beyond this point that will make the difference in how we proceed, how we go forth in our futures. And I do believe that Brunswick has a great future, and we have great citizens in Brunswick as well as in Glenn County. As Commissioner Williams said, one or two doesn't define who we are, and our mistakes don't define who we are. It's how we recover from our mistakes and the lessons that we learned from those mistakes. It's our perspective, as my daughter often speaks about, is how do we view things? What's our point of view from now? and how do we continue to be of support to the Albury family, as well as any other families that have encountered injustices within our systems, and how do we now help to move our justice system forward? How do we become facilitators in the justice system? What's our role? What roles do we play in the justice system? And how do we go forward and make it better for all of our citizens, not those that may be perceived with status or be in status quo, but for all of our citizens. And I do believe that's the heart of this commission. I do believe that's the heart of this administration. And I think we've demonstrated that throughout our tenure together as we make decisions that move us forward for the betterment of the entirety of the city of Brunswick, as well as the county of Glenn. And so my desire is that we continue to band together as one, that we're not afraid to step up and to speak out when things of this nature happen, to call wrong wrong. I don't care who it comes from, where it comes from, what color it is, what size it is, or what weight it puts on. Wrong is wrong, and we must not be afraid to call wrong wrong and to stand for right, because it could have easily been one of our children. Hatred has no color. For some people, it has no color. And so it extends boundaries. And so my desire is that we continue to speak out as one unit when we see wrong, and move to try to help justify and be a catalyst in redefining what the world now thinks about us, or may have a misinterpretation of who we are, that we move expeditiously to redefine the perspective that others may have of us. And I think we have a grand opportunity. We're poised to do great things, and we're poised to have an impact, not just on this nation, but on this entire world. And so I just want to tell each of you, thank you for all that you've done. If you've not been told thank you before, I'm telling you thank you tonight for speaking out, standing up, representing the city of Brunswick and all of our citizens, and kudos to you. God bless you.
Thank you, Commissioner Harris. Your words are very heartfelt, and they are challenging as well to us, to our whole community. And we will stand the challenge. We will stand the test of time. We will let people know that Brunswick is a good city, and that the action of a few does not define who we are. And so thank you all for your comments. Thank you, Commissioner Kaysen. Thank you, Commissioner Williams. And thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Martin. Thank you for your comments. As we move right along with our agenda, our next item on our agenda is consider item for approval. Consider approval of May 6, 2020 regular scheduled meeting minutes. Will you take a minute, a couple seconds to peruse? It was in our package, and then afterwards I will entertain a motion for approval, please.
I'll make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been probably motion and second for the approval of our regular scheduled meeting minutes of May 6th. Are there any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Kaysen, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Williams, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Martin, how do you vote?
Yes.
Mayor Harvey, how do you vote?
Yes. I've seen that motion carries 5-0. Okay, unanimously. All right, moving right along. Our next item is consider approval of resolution 2020-10, which is approving a substantial amendment to the Community Development Block Grant Program fiscal year 2019 annual action plan for dispersal of coronavirus aid, relief, and economic security act, the CARES Act funds. This will be presented to us by Ms. Dominique Mike Collins.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. I am happy to be with you today. We have received $226,384 through our CDBG grant through the CARES Act. In this funding, it is to go directly to serving those impacted by the COVID-19 coronavirus. And when I was looking at how those funds should be distributed, I have been taking part of the local COVID-19 task force in Brunswick since it came into place in March, and then also coordinating the efforts of the emergency shelter for the city of Brunswick through the Salvation Army. And in doing that, I was able to recognize some of the gaps in services with some of the funds that we receive here locally through the Communities Foundation, and what some of the organizations are receiving. So these allocations are based on making sure that we fulfill some of those gaps. I have distributed our PowerPoint, so I'm gonna go through that as quickly as I can. If you all have any questions, please don't hesitate to stop me as I go through it. So the first one is, we have allotted $45,276 to do our program administration. We are allowed to have 15% set aside to make sure that we administer these dollars correctly and to cover our staffing in order to do that. We set aside $10,000 to do some mobile sanitizing stations. And what those are hand washing stations, sanitizing stations that could include the sanitizing product, the water, any maintenance of those units. We have to get multiple quotes for those stations and what they would look like. They would definitely be next to our homeless shelters and within our city limits. And that $10,000 gives us a cushion to see how much we can do. That's why there's not an exact number for those mobile stations just yet, because we are still trying to figure out how many we would be able to do and how many we would need. For the America's Second Harvest of Coastal Georgia, we have also participated in the food giveaways. They are happening every 2 weeks, and they are happening because of the efforts of our local community. American Second Harvest doesn't just serve Brunswick, Georgia. They also serve Savannah, McIntosh, Camden, all throughout this region. But in Brunswick, they're able to, with $7,000 through Feeding America, feed 1,000 families. And that includes storage, delivery, the food itself, and the staffing. And that box of food lasts for about 2 weeks for a family. So we are allotting $8,000 to American Second Harvest of Georgia. Through the United Way, what we realized in those task force calls is that one of the areas that we weren't able to serve is people needing things like toiletries, diapers, formula, bleach, wipes, paper towels, those types of things. And we had reached out to this group called Convoy of Hope to try to get a reduced rate, but their missions just didn't align up with what we were trying to do. So now I've been helping United Way coordinate these efforts along with the community church, Mr. Reverend Brian Farmer, to look at how can we recycle these monies back into the local community. So reaching out to Target, to Sam's Club, places like that, to see if we could get a reduced rate. Also to Well Care, and then we talked about some other places today on our call, like Big Lots and Save a Lot. But I reached out to Sam's Club today as well, just to try to get a reduced rate and get some of those items here for our community. So we've allotted $20,000 for that. So I think that's really a great and unique partnerships, because it's the business community, it's the nonprofit community, and it's the faith community.
Dominique, you might, this is Johnny Case, and you
Yes,
might
sir.
try Suncoast Paper Company.
Okay.
They very well might help out and be happy to do it.
And see, and now I was talking about what are some of those local companies that we could invest in, but I really didn't even know where to start. So I appreciate that suggestion.
That's
Commissioner
exactly what
Jason, so
Suncoast will
that
do.
down.
They're about the only real wholesaler in town anymore. You'd have to go to Jacksonville or Savannah for others. But Suncoast will probably help. I don't have a contact person out there. I used to, but I don't anymore.
I'll reach out to our purchasing agent tomorrow, Ms. Thorpe, and
That'd be
I'm
great.
sure she probably has a contact for
Thank you.
Suncoast.
And Dominique too, does not cellulose have like a community partnership liaison?
I believe that they do, but I'm not sure who the contact is, but I'll follow up.
Yeah, check with them and see, because I believe that they have so many dollars that they set aside to do type of things too.
Okay. Because we also United Way reached out to Publix because they are one of their largest donors as well. They reached out to Publix, and we're not trying to piecemeal it. We're trying to see if we can get it to one retailer, so we can get all of these items. We're trying to get a tractor trailer load size of items and do a drop right here in our local community, either at I think we talked about doing it at the Armory, so different places. So we're still planning it out, but we're trying to plan it out ahead of time. As soon as we get our contract from HUD, we want to have a go plan.
The telephone number out at Georgia Pacific is 265-5780. And I should be able to tell you a contact person there, but it's not at mine right now, but that number will never leave me.
Okay. If you think of somebody, Commissioner Kaysen, just give me a call.
I know
And I'll follow up
Cornell knows
on
who
that
it is
tomorrow.
too. Who's their public service man, Mr. Mayor?
Commissioner, I don't know what right.
You do, and I do too. We just ain't hitting on it right now,
Oh,
but
I can't remember right now.
he's here doing everything.
Yeah, I know him too, and I can't think of his name right now. I
apologize
see the
for
face, but I can't think of his name.
Julie Martin, you know too.
He's from Camden County. He lives in Camden. That's how I know him. And I can't think of his name right now.
It'll come to us, and
Yeah.
we'll call you, Dominique.
Okay.
That's why I said it, Dominique, because they do have those
Good call.
dollars in partnership.
Yeah, those paper products that we can.
Are you talking about Randall Morris?
That's it. Randall
Morris, yeah.
Randall Morris.
Randall Morris.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew.
Randall Morris, his work number. Or do you want me to look? I'll just let you know.
Yeah, just send me an email. We don't want to give out his information on the line.
Okay.
Yeah, send me an email and I will follow up on it tomorrow. I'm gonna go on with our
here.
I'm gonna go on with the presentation if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Lady K's Kitchen is one of our minority and women-owned businesses here in town. We have allotted $8,108 to that business. I don't know if you all know it or not, but when schools closed, Miss Kirsty Cameron at Lady K's Kitchen started serving 200 to 300 children a day, and it rose to 700 children a day. And she was doing this really out of the goodness of her heart, and just local people started giving money. And it's in the heart of our community and one of the, the poorest areas in our community. I'm incredibly proud of the work that she's done and her entire team. And not only did she serve the children, but she was also catering for Salvation Army at the homeless shelter and bringing meals at the well. Wow. So we are really happy about being able to provide her business with some money, so she'll be able to reimburse for a lot of those monies that they spent out. Coastal Community Health Services is going to be receiving an allotment of $50,000. And most recently, they have partnered with Reverend Wright Culpepper to do a mobile drive-through or walk-through testing site at First United Methodist. This is still in the working phases right now, but I know that we are trying to get an area that's closer within the downtown community to be serviced for testing for COVID-19. So this will aid them in being able to do that, because right now they're only able to serve about 100 people a day, and that's at the Shoppers Way location, and that's way out in the county. So we're trying to help ease the burden of trying to do it here in the downtown area. The Salvation Army, as I stated before, we were a part of the homeless shelter extension. They are still running 24 hours a day. They have been running 24 hours a day since March, and they will run 24 hours a day until June the 12th. So every dollar that they can receive right now is going to be helpful.
Thank you for doing that. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you.
No problem. I was happy to do it, even down to going to Hinesville and getting those cots. I said, whatever it took, we were going to get it.
Thank you.
So they were able to extend their shelter an additional 20 beds because of the work that we did, and everybody partnered together. That was over 40 agencies in our community working together on that project. I'm very proud of that. The Homeless Hospitality and Resource Center, we are allotting $15,000. The Well is in a unique position in that they did testing last week. They tested about 35 people through the Department of Public Health. They haven't received the results back, and I just checked with Honey today before I got on this call. But if they do, they have made contacts with the hotels in our area to have a quarantine destination for those folks to go to. So that's what that $15,000 is going to be able to do, help with the quarantine and working out a relationship with, make sure everything is clean. They bought professional grade products in order to clean their center, because people come there to take showers, so it's being cleaned like right after somebody is using it, all of that good stuff. Making sure that they had PPE, we've been assisting with that. Thermometers, we also assisted with that as well. And then the last one on our list is Safe Harbor. We know that Safe Harbor is essential, especially in providing our homeless street outreach services and with the hotel motel services. They've had an increase from 1 to 2 families a day to 7 to 8 families a day being evicted out of their homes. So $20,000 is not going to go a very long way, to be honest with you, but it's going to be able to help. It's going to be able to help this organization to continue to have a place for families to go.
So, so how much total funding have we given to these organizations?
We haven't given anything yet.
Well, we will give. I'm sorry, we haven't given. You're right. That we will give if this money comes in.
It totals up to that
$226,384 minus $55,000. So okay. Whatever that is.
55 or 45,000 for administrative.
45,000 for our 45,276 for our admin costs, and then we took aside 10,000 to do those mobile sanitizing stations.
Okay.
So, and the rest of that is going straight to the community. We don't have a public services cap with this funding like we usually do with CDBG. So that's a good thing. We presented this information during a public hearing last week, and we had about 17 people. Every organization that was potentially receiving funds talked about their project and what they would like to do with the funding, or what they would like to be reimbursed for the work that they've already done. So yeah.
Thank you. Madam City Manager, anything you'd like to say?
Well, the only thing, I mean, I'm glad that we have the funding. I was listening, and the 45,000, does that include, you said it was limited to 15%, but that's a little bit more. So can you clarify that for me?
You said that that number is not correct?
Well, I mean, it was more than 15%. So I wasn't sure if there may have been something in addition to the 15% that was included in there.
No, ma'am.
Okay, well, we'll look at it. But
What,
no, I don't have any other comment. Thank you.
was
Okay.
let me ask this question. Was the 15% the $45,276 for administrative fees?
Yes,
That was the 15%, and then the additional $10,000 was separate from that.
correct.
Okay.
Okay, any other further questions, commissioners? Any comment, Mr. Our city attorney?
No, sir. Sorry, my internet got knocked out. The storm was pretty bad over here, so I just got back on and only got to hear about 10 minutes of Dominique's presentation. So if you had asked me and I did not respond, I apologize.
Well, we've been asking you, you haven't been on, so.
I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry.
Just kidding.
Where are you? Where are you?
I made it. I'm sorry. I need to clarify. It was not 15%. It's 20%. That's
Okay.
I apologize for that. That's why I was wrong. So
Oh,
I'm thinking, I have in my mind 15% is the cap usually for public services. That's why I said that. My apologies. I had to go back and do the calculations myself. So I'm glad that you caught that, because we don't want any wrong numbers going out to HUD and we don't get approved.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am.
Cause I did go back too after,
Yes.
it's identified, and I'm sitting here doing calculations and stuff too, so.
Watch IRS.
That's right.
So,
That's right.
Okay, Commissioner, any further questions? If not, then I entertain a motion, please.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution 2020-10, approving a substantial amendment to the Community Development Block Grant Program's fiscal year 2019 annual action plan for dispersal of Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security Act funds.
second.
Okay, it's been probably motion second for the approval of resolution 2020-10. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Kason, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes. Seems like that motion carries unanimously. Okay, we'll move right along. Thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Ms. Mack.
And that is exactly 100%, Dominique.
Okay. All right. Item number 4, consider approval of right of entry license agreement between the City of Brunswick and Gallagher Marine Systems, LLC, for utilization of the boat dock at Liberty Ship Park. Mr. Garrow Aberson, our city engineer and public works director, is presenting. Sir, are you on?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Got you.
Yes, sir.
What we have tonight is an agreement for.
Get out of here.
You're real faint.
Let me see if, does that help any?
Yeah, that helped a little bit of mine.
Okay. What we have tonight is a license agreement or a use agreement for the boat dock and the boat ramp and dock at Liberty Ship Park between the city and Gallagher Marine. Gallagher Marine represents the owners of the Golden Ray, which is the ship that capsized out in the Sound. And as you know, since that incident back in September, they have used Liberty Ship Park as sort of a base for launching boats and personnel and that kind of stuff for their recovery and salvage operations. So we've had several conversations with Gallagher Marine about compensation and use of that facility out there, and those kind of turned into different improvements that we'd like to make at the dock and that kind of thing, and some future use improvements down there. So basically Gallagher is offering to sign this agreement, which would pay us $25,200 for their use of the dock for a year. It's for September. The incident was in September, and the agreement will carry through September of 2020. like I said, the $25,000 for that annual term, we can then turn around and use that money to, Gallagher and DNR are both willing to help us construct a larger dock in addition to that dock, which is part of our master plan down there at that project. But this agreement here is simply for the use of the dock, the current use of the dock. There's no improvements included in this agreement. It's simply a use agreement for the use of that dock down there.
Did you say that they are going to help us build a better dock afterwards?
They're willing to help us improve the dock that's down there. DNR, Doug Haymans over at DNR is willing to fast track the permit for that dock. They will help us with the design of the dock, lining up suppliers and contractors to help with the construction of that dock. We can then turn around and use this money to pay for that dock. So in essence, Gallagher is willing to build the dock for us, but I guess through their legal side, they can't build improvements, but they can pay for
Use of our dock.
So,
But isn't it the case that they're willing to improve and expand the capability because they need to use the expanded and improved capacity?
I'm not sure if that's their motive or not. No, I don't know what means they have down there. So, you know, I don't know if that's their ulterior motive or not. I know DNR is heavily involved in conversations willing to help us. So, you know, I don't know that they benefit in the long term from the dock being there.
Well, I mean, personally, I have been down there a few times and very, very heavy use. Is the public able at all to access the facility and take boats in and out, at least on the weekends?
Definitely. Every time I'm down there, there's a private boater using the facility. I see more private people down there than I do the Gallaghers and the Coast Guard and the recovery people.
For public people, and I agree with that. You still got public use of the dock.
No doubt. Yeah, it's heavily used by the public.
I'm still kind of, I kind of catch on to what Commissioner Martin is saying, because I mean, sounds like what they're proposing is goodwill stuff that that we can pretty much do ourselves. Now the fast tracking, how fast is fast tracking? There's certain things that should be put in play when it comes to emergencies of this nature anyway, that I would think that DNR would have a responsibility of fast tracking anyway, whether we go into this agreement or not. This is somewhat of a natural disaster that moves into a totally different emergency type of or category that the federal government will expedite movement on anyway. So to say that they're going to fast track a permit for us doesn't really sound like a wonderful thing to me for us, because they're the federal government and this is a natural disaster. So they have certain responsibilities of making sure certain permits are fast tracked anyway. So to me, that's not a win-win situation. But, you know, I'm just sitting on the other side of this thing. I've not had the direct contact to do any other research on this. So is this really beneficial for us? I don't know. I'm just making an observation.
I question the fact that it's even beneficial from that standpoint. I think we're facilitating what needs to occur there. But I had a conversation with Brian Corey earlier I guess last week, that, you know, there is no normal wear and tear, what you would consider normal wear and tear by weekend boaters and recreational folks. This is an industrial, a heavy industrial use of that whole area. And $2,100 a month is a drop in the bucket to what is being spent on the dismantling of that ship. Now, I'm not saying we need to, you know, gouge anybody, but at the same time, I think we as a commission have seen what's happened in the past in other situations, and the city gets taken advantage of. I just want to make sure that we are truly covering this asset, and we're not creating a situation where on the back end we're left holding something that we then have to spend a whole lot of money on. I just want to make sure that legally we have the standing and the footing to handle, you know, what if they're offloading toxins, or, I mean, there's a lot of oil because of boating and different things there going on. So those are my concerns.
I have a question.
Ryan did send over a revised agreement.
I did.
It's different from the copy you have in front of you in that in section 3, he removed the last sentence that references normal wear and tear. So now it says that return the dock property in as good a condition as when first received.
Now, that was going to be
Has
my.
that been documented?
Yes, it's been documented and sent to them. And I think for communications with Garrow, they've agreed to that provision. I would also point to, I anticipated the hazardous waste and the toxins. If you look at item D on page 2, use of improvements, the improvements are to be used by the contractor only for the purposes, shall not be used for any illegal or commercial purpose, nor in violation of any valid regulation or governmental body, meaning EPA, DNR, any of those types of restrictions. Further, the last sentence, last 2 sentences in that provision state that the contractor shall not permit any nuisance on or in the premises. The contractor shall not use the premises or allow or permit same to be used in any way for any purpose that city in its sole discretion deems to be hazardous. So we still control the entirety of this property.
Do we have any proposed steps in place to monitor that? In other words,
no monitor.
is somebody going to go over there, do some surprise visits periodically, go and observe and see how the property, you know, if the terms of the agreement are being followed?
If they're conforming to the usage or the expected usage contractually.
I mean, we have people down there almost on a daily basis. They're not necessarily inspecting or observing what the contractor is doing. You know, and I don't know that we have personnel to dedicate to that. But we can make it a point to try to observe it when we're there. But
I think basically what we were concerned about now is short funding of $25,000. As we look at it, as Mayor Pro Tem Martin said, you know, and Commissioner Casey said, the dock that we put down there not so long ago, and it's being utilized by our citizens, and now it's used for industrial use. The $25,000 may or may not put it back in its original state. And if we want to improve it, how much it's going to cost us. So we really don't know. I think we're getting shortchanged maybe. And again, so we don't know how much the material is going to cost to put it back in the state or make it even to improve it.
Let me ask this question.
Well,
If you know, are there, you know, heavy equipment like ships and things of that nature, barges and things leaving from that area on that surface? So that's another concern, because if you got a lot of trucks and heavy equipment moving around on that surface, then what's going to end up happening is that surface is going to need to be repaved, damage to concrete, like going down on the ramps. All that stuff has to be considered in the usage, because if we allow them to use it and then something happens, there's something damaged that we don't see readily, then 3 years from now, all of a sudden, the concrete is collapsing or something is going on with the asphalt, and those type things. So we need to look at exactly what type of usage is actually going on out there. Recreational use for weekend boating, that's a big difference than commercial usage for moving a ship out of a harbor. So we need to look at that closely.
Okay.
Yeah, we should have learned our lesson with Ross Park.
Yes.
I would say one thing with the respect to the $25,000. I don't see it as a fee that we need to hold in the bank to prepare ourselves to repair that dock at the end of the agreement. I see it as a license fee for them to use it. At the end of the agreement, and again, going back to the agreement on page 2 under item E, there is a clause in there that the contractor shall pay city on demand or cause to be fixed any damages to the premise. So if we see something out there, misuse, abuse, whatever it is that the contractor's done, we can make demand that they pay for the damages. The $25,000 isn't like a deposit, like a renting deposit. In my opinion, it's a fee to use. It's like to get in the door. And then once you break something, you're gonna have to pay for that too. That's my thought on looking at it.
$2,000 a month, which seems very, very, very slim.
What you're going back to, Mayor, is that when we first were approached or first realized that they were using the park and the facility, being the boat ramp so much, we really had some pretty good discussion about it. And I thought that we were going to look at the park and the boat ramp. Haven't heard any more about it, but I really thought that was what our initial discussion was about, was being compensated, being sure that we didn't have any liability down there.
Right.
And I never heard anything back. The first I know of this is when I see this right of entry license agreement with Gallagher Marine. But we had some pretty, I thought, constructive confabulation about this thing early on. And this is where we are. And I agree. I think that there should be consideration for the park, for the area, and the boat ramp. I think we really need to look into this thing. We should have already done it. And I think we had the right discussion. I really do. I know I had the right discussion. I haven't forgotten it either.
Okay.
Can I interject just for a moment?
Yes.
Just a question. I guess thinking about the boat ramp itself, when it was it constructed for certain loads? Because, in thinking about concrete and how when the normal construction of it, you have weight limits on roads, you have weight limits on bridges. Do we have a weight limit on that dock? And is that weight limit, high enough to encompass the things that they plan to do there? Because if it's not, then you're going to have certain damages.
I don't know what you know. Gary, you probably know that, maybe.
I'm not sure about the construction of the dock. It was built, the boat ramp and whatnot were built long before I got here. So okay. I'm not familiar with that construction. I have not seen any activity down there of boats or equipment any larger than a personal boat, maybe. So, I've not observed this heavy equipment or the industrial use down there. So
most of what I've seen down there has been like a commercial crab boat. Is that size. I think most of us can relate to that.
That's right. 22 foot boat. Maybe.
Yeah. I haven't seen too much Florida. I've spent a good bit of time down there.
But are they going to move when they start dismantling the ship, where are they going to move those parts and pieces?
It'll all go by barge to New
Okay.
Orleans.
Okay.
They gave us a presentation on that.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Mhm.
And I think now their operations are working off of the Mayor's Point terminal and the west side of town over here along the Ports Authority. I think right now they're just using the Liberty Ship Park for personnel transport and that kind of thing. I'm not aware of any demolition activity, salvage activity taking place out of that location.
Well, Gary, who came up with the fee of $2,100 or whatever that is a month?
We sort of talked through that with Gallagher and with DNR, and that's kind of talked about what improvements would like to be made down there. The dock, an expanded dock being one of those improvements, and that a dock could be built for less than $25,000. So that was kind of where that number came from. That
Okay.
we could.
And I guess thinking it through, if
turn around and use for dock construction.
if we wanted to, they've been receptive to revisions to the contract. So I don't think there'd be any reason not to go back to them and ask for perhaps a revision limiting the type of use that can be at the dock. I mean, I've been down there a couple times. I've only seen, similar to what everybody else has said, looks like workers being transferred on and off shifts maybe. But I'd be happy we could easily go back to them and say, we want to limit it. We do not want, heavy duty industrial use down there on the docks or the boat ramp. And we'd like to include that in the agreement. I think that could be a possible solution to that aspect of it.
I would certainly be in favor of putting that language in the contract. At least, if nothing else, it precludes that, from happening, hopefully, that because it's written in there. And then I would certainly want to make sure that any improvements on the back end, or not even the back end, but during the time period that Gallagher is renting and leasing it, those dock improvements, that the city is not paying for those, correct? It's going to be done by Gallagher.
The dock improvements,
Mm-hmm.
we would pay for them out of this $25,000. I mean, Gallagher's effectively paying for it, but they're routing the funds through the city, basically.
What if it turns out to be more than 25,000?
You have to keep the cost under $25,000, and if so, we would have to go back to Gallagher and, up the cost of this agreement, or, additional time period or some way to do that. But right now, the project estimated at just under $20,000 for the dock improvement.
And who would manage and oversee the work, and who would actually be contracted with the folks doing the improvements? How would that look?
We would technically be the owners, and so we would be the project managers. I think Gallagher has a construction side that would be willing to help us out and give us some assistance on that, but we would technically be the owners and the project managers of the project. Okay, so basically, would we dictate what those improvements would be? I mean, it would be just like any other city project, is what you're saying? We have it designed, we get cost estimates, we're the general contractor, we bid it out.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So are we saying that we don't want any compensation for the use of the park?
No, we ain't saying that, Johnny.
I'm not saying that. I'm asking y'all because the conversation has gone way away from where we initially started talking. And
Right.
again, this is for the dock, We've got the land down there that has been used, and it was just, you know, we didn't authorize. I didn't authorize. We talked about all that stuff. You know, tried to hash it out best we could. So now it's time to get it right.
And I'm trying to make sure I understand. Okay, so the monies that they would be paying on a monthly basis are going to total 25.2. I'm looking at that correctly. Okay, so now, in essence, maybe I don't understand. They're not paying us to actually use the facility. If the monies that they're saying they're paying, we're going to use those monies for improvements. So they're really not paying us anything for usage. They're paying us for the potential of improvements for potential damages that could occur.
Yeah, that's basically true in a sense, but what it's saying is they're paying us fees, but the fees gonna be used for in case they mess something up.
No, sir, no, sir.
No.
No, sir.
That's not it?
No.
No.
If they mess something up, they have to just pay out of pocket. It's not coming out of the pot that they're given, the 25,200. If they break something down there, we would put them on notice that they've broken something, and they would pay us for the repairs to correct those damages. If the $25,200 is a license fee that is used, you know, they're using the dock and they're paying the $25,200. The new improvements that would be built at a later date, the city would be using that money to build those new improvements. The $25,200.
So in other words, the money, the 2,500 that you're talking about here is earmarked for exclusively for use to add a dock or whatever at the Liberty Ship Harbor. It can't be used anywhere else in the city is what you're saying.
It can be used for whatever we want.
No, you could use it for whatever you want.
Okay, that's what I'm asking, because where you said it, it's almost like it's earmarked for the Liberty Ship Harbor, and it can't be used, you know, the Liberty Ship Park, I'm sorry, and it can't be used anywhere else.
No, I'm sorry. I guess just the idea of when we were in discussions and when I was in discussions with Garrow of how to structure the agreement was that the park, we were looking to do dock improvements down there, and that this would be a great way to pay for it. That's what my understanding was. But as written, it's a license fee that could be, you know, deposited in the general fund, and the city could use it for however they see fit.
So it's like, well, in other words, it'd be an annual licensing fee that if any other company came in the future, or somebody came in and said, we need to use your part, your dock to access something in, you know, off the coast of Georgia, then we would ask them to basically pay that fee.
Well, but we could negotiate with them for whatever reason. I think this is just unique in that this was the cost anticipated to do these dock improvements, and it was easy to sort of look at it and go, this is a license fee, so that because y'all are using the dock and the ramp, we need these improvements, so it's a great way to sort of get those paid for through the use of the park.
Right.
It would be like if you added, you know, if you had people coming to Howard Coffin that were playing sports and you earmarked a certain portion, somebody came in and said, we'd really like to rent the field, and the city, they knew that the city needed new concession stand, so they offered to pay for the concession stand through the license. But the city could honestly say, no, we'll just take that, thank you very much, and that's your usage fee for the boat ramp and the dock.
There's a comment in the chat.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah, I see that.
That's correct. It's from Lynn in finance.
Okay.
Yes, from Lynn.
Yes, the
Any further comments, commissioners, about this? Anything else you want to say, Mr. Albertson?
I was just going to say that Lynn's comment is correct, that the $25,000 for the first term of the lease would be paid up front. It'd be paid on signature of this, on execution of this agreement. And then anything beyond the dates of this agreement will be paid on a monthly basis.
Right now, Commissioner, we realize right now we're not getting anything. So
Very true, sir.
it's just the fact that with this
Retro. Sounds like retro to me.
it is retro, I believe.
Yeah, it is retro. It's back to September 2019.
However,
That is correct.
It seems that we would like for you to add something a little bit more in the contract, and with that too, I don't know whether you can negotiate a little bit more. I don't want to try to gouge anybody, but we still have to look out for our dock, look out for the citizenry of that park. People use that park as well. So, Garo, we realize that you did negotiate it, and we appreciate that too, along with DNR. However, we still think that maybe we have some more added information in the contract. That's how I feel.
I think what Commissioner Kaysen has been emphasizing needs to be considered.
The notes that I have in consideration of doing something with the agreement would be to look into, well, consideration for the usage of the park as an add-on to the consideration or the license fee that is gone for the dock and the boat ramp, and then a provision that would limit the types of usage that Gallagher can implement at the park and the boat ramp and dock.
And I think Gallagher is willing to look at a similar agreement for the use of the park. You know, it's obviously not included in this agreement, but I think they're open to looking at a similar agreement for the park. But
So can you please clarify, because I in this conversation, it kind of went around, the dock improvements will or will not be done during their tenure period? Will it be done on the backside, or it will be done expeditiously because they're trying to, expedite the permitting because they need those improvements done? Can you clarify that?
I think the dock improvements could be done as quickly as the permit is finalized and we can get contractors and design and contractors lined up. I don't know how that relates to Gallagher's time frame on the project. I don't know if they'll still be here or not, but I don't get the impression that their motive is to expand the dock for their use. I honestly believe, maybe I'm naive, I think they're looking to help us.
Okay.
That seemed to be the negotiations that we had with them. They all seemed to be very good faith negotiations that it seemed like they were attempting to come to the table in a good faith manner.
So, I guess, and part of the reason I'm asking that question is, if we're able, let's just say, to move forward with the improvements, and everything happens in a timely fashion, and they are still within their 1-year license term, but the cost is going to exceed the $25,000. Do we need it might make sense to have a provision do we need a provision in the license agreement that offers us the ability to increase the rent or the license fee because the cost of the improvements were higher than the $25,000?
So, Mr. City Attorney, is back in your court.
Yes, I'm thinking. I'm sorry. It was something that I had initially tried to contemplate in this agreement. Gallagher, sort of pushed back a little bit on that in terms of how we wanted to address the new improvements. In talking to Garrow about those, because the city was going to be the one ultimately that would be contracting and constructing the new improvements, we left that aspect out of this agreement. However, I mean, we could either, I'm not sure. I mean, we could look into it to see if we could add a new provision, but because this agreement is written does not contemplate the new improvements to the dock, it would seem disjointed. But we
Okay,
could go
so
back.
there's no time frame on the improvements, I guess, is the long and short of it.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
Okay.
They aren't looking, from what I've gathered through, talks with Garrow and emails, they aren't looking to have these improvements done for the purposes of using them to help the Golden Ray salvage operation. Garrow, I don't know if your understanding is different than.
No, I agree with you. I don't think that's their motive. I can't promise you that if the dock was constructed while they were there, that they wouldn't use the new portion, but I don't think that's the ultimate motive behind them wanting to build this.
Because I'm assuming too that as part of the cycle of putting bids out, we would probably want to make sure that we're, dovetailing in with grant cycles for funding, and that the timing of all of that flows well, so that, if we've got a $25,000 project, but we're able to apply for grant funding through DNR or whoever it might be, that we're able to do that from a timing standpoint and maximize matching money, whatever we need to do.
They've got a grant time coming up. I know y'all seen that. We just got an email on it.
Yeah.
Grant period, and it's
Yep.
just pretty close. So that could certainly work in our favor.
Even, and I'm gonna stray away from the grant part of it. And we can never really determine. We hope that they're negotiating with good faith. And from what you all have said, that sounds like it could be. But that's just like the rental of a vehicle. And they put you put insurance on it to cover whatever prospective damages may occur while you are using that vehicle. But you don't know what damages have happened to that vehicle until you return that car and the inspection is actually done by the rental company to say you have brought this vehicle back in the same condition or better than when it left here before. We will not know what condition the dock is in until the completed usage of that dock is done. And somebody goes and inspects that dock to say this dock is in the same condition as when it was initially put into usage for or by Gallagher. So are we looking beyond just where we are right now to say we're going to have somebody, once this period has ended in September 2020, is there going to be somebody down at that dock to do an inspection to say that yes, everything is the same or better than when this contract was initiated? So we will know without a shadow of a doubt that it has been returned to us the way that it was lent out.
And Brian, does the city need to be a named insured?
Well, I mean, we insure the dock already, and they have, through this agreement, would indemnify us for anything that would happen on the dock.
Okay.
So we've already got it insured,
Okay.
and the agreement would require them to defend and take up the city's cause if anything, liability-wise happened on the dock. And in addition, again, we have the clause in there that we could demand payment for any repair necessary. To touch on something that Commissioner Harris just said, the agreement, when it ends in September of this year, would switch over to a monthly agreement where they would continue to pay, in addition to the $25,200, that's when they would begin paying $2,100 a month if they needed to continue to use the dock. So I do think I agree with her that at the time that they have said, okay, we're done here, we would need to go down there and conduct an inspection and determine whether or not we need to make a demand on them for, you know, cost of any repairs or any damages that they've caused to the boat ramp and the dock.
How will we they cause that damage if we haven't inspected it already?
I can't speak on that, but
Yeah,
Garrett might
yeah.
know.
You know, when you rent a car, they take pictures of it.
Yeah, you walk around with them at the airport.
Yes.
So you're right.
Well, they started this process back in September, so basically, you know, at this point, we would be inspecting something midway through the process. What I suggest is that we go back to Gallagher and say that the commissioners were not necessarily comfortable with the amount that we were presenting, so we need to increase that amount. And I don't know, throw something more at them and higher, and then also limit the use so that they cannot, you know, put anything in that would be, you know, specifically damaging to the dock as far as we know, and make sure that those two aspects are covered.
Let me make sure I'm understanding this clearly too, Brian and Garo. There's actually going to be an additional negotiation for the use of the park as well.
They have mentioned a willingness to negotiate a similar agreement for the use of the park. Right.
All this is for the dock. This does not include the park, the parking lot, or any of that area.
Exactly. This is for nothing else other than the dock.
Well, why was that done separately? I mean, if they're using all of it now, why wouldn't we already have looked at the use of the park, the dock, and say, okay, $100,000 for this time and be done with it?
That's a good question. Excellent. That's what I've been asking.
I think that's what we need to take back to them and say that the commissioners would like to include the use of the park, put the figure at a higher figure, and, you know, negotiate it that way and limit the use.
Okay.
Yep, I got no problem. That's fine. Be happy.
Hey, you think you
to
get
do so.
it back to us by our next meeting?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Would
Okay.
you like a motion to defer?
Yes, sir.
I will make a motion that we defer the right-of-way entry license agreement with Gallagher Marine.
Second.
I mean, probably motion second to defer the right-of-way entry license between the city of Brunswick and Gallagher Marine Systems, Inc. until our next regular scheduled meeting. Are there any further discussion?
The only comment I have, I guess, really is directed towards Brian, and that would be to the degree that you're able to definitively come up with additional language that covers those items. If you want to shoot it to us in an email in advance, if that's helpful, we can at least review it and make any comments before it actually comes back before the commission.
Yes, I'd be happy to do so.
Okay.
Okay.
You know, and I think now that we're doing this, that we need to be sure that we have a safety feature in this license agreement. And we need to be sure that we're compensated for insurance. And let me just say that I think that we're mighty fortunate that we haven't had an industrial accident down there. I really do. There's been a lot of usage down there. There's been a lot of coming and going. There was a time when that park was full of this operation.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just been allowed to skate. And I'm glad that we're taking this on, and I think we need to do it thoroughly. And I think we will do it thoroughly. And I'm happy that they're willing to talk about start with the dock and then talk about the park, because it all needs to be considered. It's all a liability to the taxpayers of the city of Brunswick, every bit of it.
Okay, any further questions or comments, commissioners? If not, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Commissioner Cason, how do you vote?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes, so that motion carries unanimously for we will defer this item until our next regular scheduled meeting, which will be the first meeting in June. All right. Moving right along, we're down to item number 5 for appointments. No, Commissioner, it's not your item though, but Commissioner Kaysen, you have a different agenda here. Anyhow, it says commission for the Planning and Appeals Commission. We have 2 appointments. We have Charles Day and Lance Saby, and they are wanting to be reappointed. Their term expired on May the 16th. Both of them expired May 16th, and they're asking to be reappointed. Commissioner, you have their information in your packet?
I do not.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Casey. Well, I'm telling you, they are asking to be reappointed to the Planning and Appeals Commission. It seems that's the only 2 names that we have received.
I'd like to make a motion that we reappoint Charles Day and Lance Saby to the Planning and Appeals Commission.
I second.
It's been properly voted second for the reappointment of Mr. Charles Day and Mr. Lance Saby to the Planning and Appeals Commission. Madam Clerk, can you tell us when the new terms would expire?
5/16/20.
No, that's it already expired.
The old term.
Talking about the new term. If we appoint them, when would it expire?
2023 is a 3-year term.
Oh, 3 years.
2023. Okay.
Mhm.
Any further questions or comments, Commissioners? On the reappointment of Mr. Charles Day and Mr. Lance Saby to the Planning and Appeals Commission. No comments. Madam Clerk, go ahead and call the roll.
Commissioner Kaysen, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you so very much. Please get in contact with Mr. Day and Mr. Seeley and let them know their reappointment to the Planning and Appeals Commission. Madam Clerk. All right, we're down to city attorney items. Item number 7, consider amendment to the employment agreement between the city of Brunswick and city manager for the purpose of providing a city-issued cellular telephone.
Yep, that's correct. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. What you should have before you is a very, I would say, brief and simple amendment to Ms. McDuffie's city management employment agreement. Prior to the amendment and the agreement that we had discussed, there was a stipulation on page 3 under section 4, item B, cellular phone, that used to read an employer was providing a $70 a month credit for the payment of the use of a personal cell phone. Through this amendment provides that we, the city, the employer, shall provide employee with a cellular phone for his or her use. It just goes on to say, should employee be discharged or terminate this agreement, this benefit shall cease immediately and employee shall return the cellular telephone to employer. And that's it.
Okay, cut and dry. Commissioners, any comments? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion, please.
May I like to offer a motion that we approve the agreement as presented by our city attorney for our city telephone.
Second.
Probably motion second for approval of the amendment to the employment agreement between the city of Brunswick and city manager for providing a cell phone. Any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll again, please.
Commissioner Kaysen, how do you vote?
Yes.
Commissioner Harris,
Yes.
Commissioner Williams,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Martin,
Yes.
Mayor Harvey.
Yes. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We have come to the end of our regular printed agenda. Are there any need for executive session?
There's one for litigation.
Litigation. Okay. And I entertain a motion for executive session, please.
Now I'd like to offer a motion that we adjourn to executive session for litigation.
Second.
Motion second for this council to adjourn to executive session for litigation. All
Yeah,
in favor?
Let's make sure we get this one right this time.
I believe Kyle is staying in the meeting tonight so that we can all come back and properly adjourn. I believe that was the instruction that was provided.
Okay, all right. Sounds
That
good.
is correct.
All in favor
Thanks,
of
Kyle.
going to executive session, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Well,
unanimous.
that's right. That means that we will go into executive session. So we will come back and then we will adjourn our regular scheduled meeting. So now we will head into executive session. I want to thank everybody who have participated, who are listening on our meeting. Also, I want to thank the commissioners for a well discussed agenda and also how we negotiate or we deliberate in the affairs of the city of Brunswick. Thank you so very much. So
Thank
now we will go to executive session. Thank you.
I assume that's going to close out, right?
So do we close out?
Yeah, we close
We
out.
leave out of this one?
Yes, and go into executive session. It's Kyle sent us something, a link to go into executive session. I believe it did.
Okay.
You have a separate link to get into the executive session
Yes.
with the
There were
passcode.
so many emails about this meeting. It got really
It's the
confusing.
last one that came in today at 3:31.
Yeah.
Okay,
Another one came in this afternoon.
What came in today at 3:31, Julie?
3:31.
It's from Kyle. It says executive session from Kyle Edwards.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Got it? Okay. All right.
I'm gonna
all
go.
good. Okay.
I made it quick for you.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
I appreciate it too, Vern.
Truly appreciate it.
I think everybody probably does.
And Cal, we thank you. We appreciate you. Uh,
Yes.
it moved like it went smoothly.
Oh, you're welcome. I try to make it go as smoothly as possible, so.
Done a great job.
Well, Commissioner Harris, you're the
Yes,
only one
ma'am.
in here, so don't talk too soon. You don't know.
Oh. I see Johnny, I think, isn't it?
Okay, that's two. We just need one more. Good.
I see somebody else in here. What we need to do is just go back to the original email.
Yeah, the original one. Let me just check.
One more in here and we can get a vote.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you, Commissioner.
Is that three?
Not
Need
yet.
one more, Johnny. We need one more.
Let me see what they doing.
Have we got the mayor?
No, I think it's just Commissioner Kaysen and Commissioner Harris and what Tanette was on.
Hey, Tanette.
Hey.
Well, I was pulling teeth about 10 minutes to 6 to get here, so this ain't been an easy thing.
Yeah.
I've got a good IT department, Brian, you're right.
That's right.
Just checking my phone a lot of times. Yeah. Oh.
Ned, where are you? Where are you?
I'm in City Hall.
I can't tell where you is.
I'm still in City Hall.
All right.
Yeah.
I got you.
Yeah.
Alicia, I can't hear you.
She's.
I think she was on her phone.
Are they
Maybe.
having a hard? Are they not able to get on?
I just Bishop Commissioner Williams had to be.
The original one. That's what I was saying. I did go back. You did.
Hello, everyone. Everyone, I have Mayor on the speaker and we're gonna adjourn that way.
Let's do it.
Commissioner Queen should be coming back in.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Hold on, Mayor have to announce something first. No action was taken, all that good stuff.
Hold on 1 second. I think I'm coming in.
Oh, okay.
Oh, there he is.
All right.
Hey, yay.
Yeah.
All right, Mayor. Bye. All right.
Now,
All right, bye-bye.
thank you. All right, hey, we'll come,
Commissioner Martin's on too.
Got Ms. Martin.
we have come out of executive session. No vote was taken, only discussion about litigation. Now I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a
Motion
motion.
to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All right, probably motion
There we go.
us to adjourn. Any further discussion?
None.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Seems like the ayes have it.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Goodbye.
Thank you,
Goodbye.
everyone.
Everybody enjoy
Thank
your
everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
All right,
Bye.
see you soon.
Good night.